Hello again, people of art.aesthetics. Tiffany Cole here on my final day of my artist takeover. It's been a great week and it's been wonderful sharing all my inspiration with all of you. Just say hi to a few people. So today is my last and final artist talk of the week, and I'm so excited to be joined by my friend and fellow artist Arinze Stanley. Arinze is a hyper-realist artist whose powerful work is a reflection of the fight for freedom from governmental suppression and police brutality in Nigeria and abroad. His show in the US last year opened at the height of the End SARS movement in Nigeria, and I wanted to catch up with him on the progress of the movement, his current works, and the recent banning of Twitter in Nigeria. So I will add Mr. Arinze. Here we go.
Hi.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Long time no see.
Long time no see. Are you in your new studio?
Yeah, but it's under construction, so like there's a lot of noise. So I had to leave the part of the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Last
Yeah,
time,
it's a pleasure.
last time we talked, we were drawing together for 3 hours, I think. So I'm excited we talked a lot, obviously, about the technical side of art, and I'm excited to talk to you about the philosophical side of your art.
Yeah. That's
Cool.
cool. I enjoyed the conversation the last time, so I guess
Yeah.
right now I hope where I'm is not too noisy though.
It's a little bit, maybe you have to speak a little bit louder. I know I have to yell, even if I'm in a quiet room.
Okay.
But
So
anyway, so I was listening all day to interviews with you and to podcasts that you've been on, and something struck me. So sometimes life brings you onto a path and gives you the glory and the scope to use your talent for a large and a bigger purpose. And in your interview, you talk about being an engineer and drawing your friends and for fun. And uh, and then I believe you mentioned in 2013 you had a horrific incident of police brutality, which was a case of mistaken identity. And I'm wondering, how did that moment change the path of your life and your work?
well, personally, when I started drawing, like I never really thought about it as something that would be groundbreaking. I thought about it more of something I enjoyed doing. I believe in higher purpose, and I believe that everything happens for a reason. So along my journey, along the line of enjoying this process of being a better artist, a lot of things have happened along the way, which have inspired my work. Um, but I didn't immediately see it as that direction. I just saw it as, oh, this happened, and how can I, use it to make more meaningful art, you know. So in 2000, I think 2012 or 13, I can't really recall the date. I had an incident with some military people, and I got brutalized. My first encounter of that kind of thing happening, and that was coincidentally the same year I started drawing. The same period I started drawing. So I started, enjoying the process, and then I started to ask myself, I could use my art to change. You know, I can use my art to touch people. I know that a lot of people tell me that they're inspired from what I do and the kind of work I do, but I could still reach out to more people. I could still reach out to, using my art to to, trying to see if I can at least speak about issues that really matter. For example, over here in Nigeria, it became like a normal thing for people, force men, and to use arms and excessive force on individuals without any repercussion. And there's nobody you can literally talk to about it, because the corruption that exists within that sector, within that unit of, let's say, the police and the military and everything, they there's too much immunity. You understand? There's too much impunity for all these people to go around and do all these things they can do without having to be accountable for it. But then there's nobody that will come out to speak for them, because first off, when you come out to speak, you're either isolated, or you're either imprisoned. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and art is something everyone can relate to. So what if I use my art, my gift, to speak about these problems in a more subtle way that people can be able to accept, understand, and interpret. So that's kind of what kicked off the journey for me, and I'm still finding myself. But then, as the day goes by, it makes more meaning.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I was reading today, like I mentioned, more about your work and your story. And today is um, today is a national holiday in the U.S., Juneteenth. So on this day, 156 years ago, was the um, abolition of slavery. And I was reading about one of the key people in that movement. His name was Frederick Douglass.
Yeah.
And he saw that there needed to be more than just words to communicate the human rights atrocities that were happening at that time. And he actually used photography to spread the message of the abolitionist movement. And there's a famous photo of a man named Peter and his brutal scars that he endured as a slave. And that photograph was a huge spark in the fire and the fuel of the Civil War at the time. And I, just as you were saying, art makes us confront things and view things, and even with one picture, tell a story. Um, and I was wondering, what advice would you give to other artists as they begin to tell stories in their work?
Well, I believe everyone has different stories, and
Yeah,
being the fact that people have different stories, I think every story is unique and authentic to the artist. So all you need to do is look down within you to to search for what your story is about. We want to communicate something so badly. Sometimes we have some stories that we want to, because it's all about communication. Art itself is
that's right.
communication. So
That's right.
so when you want to talk, you have to think about what you want to say. And I think first of all, before you even you know uh, put your pen on the paper, or your paint on the canvas, you kind of have like a reflection of what you want to talk about. Sometimes it doesn't come like easy. Sometimes you have to walk around, you know experience certain things, so you could gather more knowledge about what you want to talk about, and how you try to, like, if you're just trying to freely express yourself, or if you're like you're pushing towards a goal, or trying to stop something, because art is a force, and like every force you have to direct it. you know
Yeah,
you wanna put a nail in a wood, you gotta apply a force with a hammer. So you gotta know what your hammer is. You have to know what you're going to use to drive that force to achieve your goal. So it comes from a place of self-reflection. I think before I make any of my drawings, I know I think about a long time to think about a month, sometimes to think about how I want to visually represent this thing and this message. Sometimes it comes quicker. I just allow myself to be inspired by situations because it's cool for me to just come up with something in my head. But then what is the storyline? Where does it come from? How? Because I mean, if you were to exhibit your work, you're going to have to curate it, right? You're gonna have to you're gonna have to talk about what inspires you to make that piece, and
Yeah.
so a lot more work has to go to your representation of what you have in your head and the message you want to pass. Secondly, just be free.
Mm.
It's simple because I think it comes
Mm.
easier when you're free with what with not regarding what society has made the norm of artistic expression. Just be free. I
Yeah.
was in a collection. I think De La Cruz collection in Miami, and I'm
Mm.
not quite sure, but I saw like a pack of sweets on the floor. I don't know if you've seen that artist before. It was like a whole pack of sweets, and I was like, wow, this is
Mm.
an artwork. Like this was like a ton of sweets on the floor,
Mm.
and I asked what the name of the piece was, and he was like, this is a portrait of my father, and I was confused. I was thinking
Mm.
about how does this relate, and then as they continued to create the piece, I found out that apparently the dad always loved to buy the sweets and lick it whenever he's with his son, and then the son was the
Mm.
artist. So when the dad passed away, he wanted to keep that thing as a representation of his father, and also he also wanted people to also share into that, so you can actually communicate with the artwork. You can actually pick the sweep and lick it. So it all depends on how you want to represent, how you want to your art to be perceived, and how you want people to represent you, to see your art represented. But then it also has to come from you, 100%.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes it's not even thought about so deeply, sometimes it's just something that emerges and you think
Yeah,
about it later and you think, wow, that was a perfect representation of what I was feeling at this time. And
yeah. I mean,
it
it's
comes
it's
out in different ways.
there is absolutely no way to understand art because
Yeah.
when you think you got it, then you begin to see better ways of representing yourself. So just enjoy the journey. I don't think there's
You
any
always
book.
say,
I don't think there's
you
any
always say
book.
the exact word I'm thinking. The journey. It's a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey. I was just telling someone a few days ago, like, do you think that this journey is going to ever end? I mean, if it has to end, then there's no point in becoming an artist. So your entire life as an artist is a journey to wherever you just stop existing.
Yeah,
So just enjoy the journey.
that's right. Beautifully said. So I listened to your podcast. I believe it was with Juxtapose.
Yeah.
It's an incredible podcast. I think everyone should listen to it. This was in the height of the NSARS movement, and I'm wondering what is happening now in Nigeria.
Well, since the NSAS movement, I would say a lot of people now believe in the fact that you can actually speak and be heard. You know, that was one of the most important parts of that protest. Ever since the NSAS protest, there have been other protests going along around, but I think, like like I said, it has to come from a place of, where you feel it the most.
Yeah.
A lot of people can connect and relate with what happened throughout the years, with the SARS units. I personally have encountered, you know, a lot of police brutality, police harassment, and I've seen people that have suffered brutality for literally nothing. you
Yeah.
know, and then it has been taken as a joke. It has been taken as a joke from police. It has been taken as a joke from the government. Nobody really cares because the government also knows that people, as in the youth, weren't very united. So when people realize that, oh, we could be united and fight against this ill situation, and everyone came together. Even you won't believe it. Even some elderly people came around the protest, and it was happening simultaneously around the country. And it was incredible because people were fighting for something they believed in, and that's freedom.
That's right.
And that inspired me because I mean I've suffered the same fate. I have a lot of scars all over my body, and I'm planning to someday I'm going to document it in a very good. I have pictures from 2012, the police brutality, and I'm hoping for a day that I'll just put it out there. But I mean, there's an active awareness of people being conscious of standing up for their rights and what they believe in. And ever since then, it's not like anything really changed. But I mean, that consciousness is the best part for me.
Yeah.
I believe that people should be more aware of their power
That's
to
right.
speak up and fight against whatever they don't deserve. You know,
That's right. And how has the recent banning of Twitter, is that a new wave of the government attempting to silence the people?
any way anyone wants to look at it, it always ends up as the same thing. They just want to silence because they know now. If you can check the pattern, they know now that when these people are united, they can do stuff. So why don't we begin to break them off? And
Mhm.
that's but then what's funny is when it's time for the election and they try to act like they're all good people and try to the same Twitter. It's the same government that got into power through the power of Twitter. So you see, power is intoxicating, and I think this government is so drowned in the mindset that they have the power, so they want to shut people down, so they don't expose their atrocities. During the NSAS movement, a lot of people were aware about this. This is the reason why they had the right to. They felt obligated to end disband the unit. But ever since then, people have been demanding for what they truly deserve,
Mhm.
and the government just doesn't really want anybody disturbing them. That's the
Yeah.
reason why they just want to silence them. Instead of dealing with the situation, you just want to silence them, which doesn't make any sense. Which goes against what it is to be a democratic
Right.
country. You
Right.
know, you're having a country that is supposedly supposed to enjoy democracy, and then you're cutting off the main part of democracy, which is communication. People
Yeah.
need to communicate with their government and tell them how they feel because it's for the people, it's by the people, and so cutting off the communication with the people and the people among the people is it's just crazy. And it's a pity that international communities out there are seeing these things that are happening here in Nigeria, and they just feel like it is politically correct to keep quiet when people's rights are being abused. What's the purpose of the UN? What's the purpose of all this? That means democracy doesn't have anything that checkmates it. It's
Mm.
pointless to me. It's pointless
It's
to me.
so, yeah, it's so obvious. And when other countries don't speak up, it's only because they have blood on their hands, so to speak, and
Yeah,
they're doing the same thing in small or big ways to their own people. And the problem is that the people are too powerful and they'll always overcome.
that's it. Like I read a few days ago. There hasn't been a government that won a battle against its people. So I'm just laughing at this government because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Basically, it's going to be like this if the people don't change, if they don't change their perception of what they deserve, whatever government comes in, they're going to take advantage of that. So I feel like that's why it's important to give people a visual message
That's right.
of telling them like through my art,
That's right.
I will make a piece and I'll talk about stuff that you know should be heard and seen, because a lot of people communicate better with hearing. A lot of people perceive better with hearing. A lot of people perceive better with the conversation. A lot of people perceive better with seeing.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's more creating a visual language through my art,
Yeah.
and I feel like that is very important in today, where everyone is on their phones, everyone is out there looking at something. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That's exactly right. And it's been successful throughout history and will continue to be successful. And that can never be stamped out. So one thing I have been talking about all week here on Art Aesthetics is inspiration. So I'm wondering, Arinze, what inspires you and keeps you creating as an artist?
Well, first of all, I enjoy what I do, no doubt, because like I could draw from morning till night and not even feel like I know you can relate. So
I hear
like
you.
it's just amazing to be doing what you love doing.
Yeah.
Secondly, I I feel obliged to be
Mm,
Arinze Stanley. You know,
mm,
it started off as a joke.
mm.
Oh wow, I can draw, and now it's more of I need to do this at least.
Yeah.
This is the last shot I got. You know, like but there's no other place to run to. I just gotta do this. There are many other people out there. I'm probably not just doing this for myself. Uh, I'm doing this so that I can be able to spark someone's brain out there, someone who will be greater than me, someone who will be bigger, someone who will be more powerful, someone out there sitting down there needs to be inspired,
Mm.
and you know, a lot of that, a lot of work needs to be done. So I don't know. I feel like this is just why I'm alive.
Yeah.
So I just have to do it.
Woo! That's powerful. And it's
Right?
true. And, when we did our live together, and I got so many messages from young people in Nigeria after, and who are, doing art and doing hyperrealism. And you never think about this sometimes, but people watch what you're doing as an artist. People notice, and the changes that you can make by sharing your gift is words can't even put it.
All right. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
truly.
thank you, Rinze, so much for speaking with me.
Yeah, it's always a
I can't
pleasure.
I can't wait to see you in person. Hey
You
Ken,
look
if you're
very
still
pretty.
watching, you gotta come over to
Yeah,
London.
definitely soon, one day,
Yeah,
hopefully.
cool.
It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I hope to speak with you soon again. And
Absolutely.
big shout out to Art Aesthetics to making this happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, and talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.